Good afternoon, class. Our lesson for today is about overtime pay and its variables. So, overtime, yung variables niya, kung ano yung mga dapat ninyong malaman tungkol sa overtime, gayon din yung computation ng overtime. So, the normal hours of work of any employee shall not exceed 8 hours a day. And when an employee does exceed the normal working hours, an overtime pay is calculated. So, dun papasok yung overtime beyond 8 hours of work. Overtime pay refers to the additional compensation for work performed beyond 8 hours a day. This is stated in Article 83 and 87 of the Labor Code of the Philippines. In the computation of wages or salaries of an employee, it is essential for us to learn about the computation of overtime in order that we will be able to correctly compute an employee's salary for that specific month. For us to learn the computation of overtime, we must first learn to identify the variables needed in the computation. So, ano-ano ba itong mga variables na ito na sinasabi natin? Unang-una, the monthly rate and daily rate. May pagkakaiba yung dalawang yan. When identifying overtime, salary rate, like monthly rate and daily rate, are important variables. Monthly rate refers to the employee's compensation that are paid monthly, while daily rate refers to the employee's compensation that are paid daily. So, yung monthly rate, halimbawa ay ang iyong monthly pay ay 15,000. So, regardless kung gaano man karami ang araw ng isang buwan, 15,000 pa rin ang babayad sa'yo. Kagaya ng February, 28 days lang yan or 29 days, tapos yung ibang buwan 30, 31 days. Pag monthly rate ka, 15,000 ka lang. Pagka daily rate naman, nakadepende kung ilang araw ang ipinapasok mo. So, ganun. Kung ikaw ay may 500 pesos na daily rate, yung February mo, kung 28 days lang yan, so times 28 days or yung working days kung hindi kasama ang Sabado-Linggo. So, yun ang pagkakaiba ng dalawa sa monthly at saka daily rate. Second one, hourly rate. So, sa hourly rate naman, so madali lang kuhanin siya, i-divide mo lang naman sa 8 hours. Diba? Kung 500 ka a day, so divide mo lang sa 8 hours, doon natin makukuha yung hourly rate. Overtime rates. Okay, work may be performed beyond 8 hours a day provided that the employee is paid for the overtime work. An additional compensation equivalent to his regular wage plus 25% thereof, the regular time. So, work performed beyond 8 hours on a holiday or rest day shall be paid an additional compensation equivalent to the rate of the first 8 hours on an holiday or rest day plus 30% thereof as stated in Article 87 of the Labor Code of the Philippines. So, tandaan nyo guys, no? May ibang rate pagdating sa holiday at iba pa rin yung rate pagdating sa overtime. Compensation for rest day, Sunday, or holiday work. In the computation of overtime, it is also important to identify the additional compensation for work done in rest day, Sunday, and holiday so that correct computation shall be given with regards to overtime. The following are also explained in Article 93 of the Labor Code of the Philippines. Una, where an employee is made or permitted to work on his scheduled rest day, he shall be paid an additional compensation of at least 30% of his regular wage. An employee shall be entitled to such additional compensation for work performed on Sunday only when it is his established rest day. Ayan, no? Mamaya makikita natin guys yung computation. ng mga yan. Compensation, okay, still for rest day, Sunday, or holiday. Letter B, when the nature of the work of the employee is such that he has no regular work days and no regular rest days can be scheduled, he shall be paid an additional compensation of at least 30% of his regular wage for work performed on Sundays and holidays. No, ibig sabihin guys, no, kung walang regular work days and no regular rest days, ibig sabihin may mga ganyan kasi guys. Hindi regular yung kanyang rest day, okay? He shall be paid an additional compensation, sabi 30% ng kanyang trabaho on Sundays and holidays. Letter C, work performed on special holiday shall be paid an additional compensation of at least 30% of the regular wage of the employee. So 30% ang special holiday. Where such holiday work falls on the employee's scheduled rest day, he shall be entitled to an additional compensation of at least 50% of his regular wage. Kapag yung special holiday na pinasukan niya ay rest day niya pa talaga, ayun, 50% ang idadagdag. Where the collective bargaining agreement or other applicable employment contract stipulates the payment of a higher premium pay than that prescribed under this article, the employer shall pay such higher rate. So, ibig sabihin, mayroong itinadhana sa batas, pero meron kayong collective bargaining agreement, no? Kasi meron kayong union. So, susundin mo yung nasa saad sa napagkasunduan nyo ng union at saka ng employer. Right to holiday pay. Holiday pay is another compensation given for employees who are rendering work during regular and special holidays. This is stated in Article 94 of the Labor Code of the Philippines, which every worker shall be paid his regular daily wage during regular holidays except in retail and service establishments regularly employing less than 10 workers. Okay? So, mayroon siyang exception, no, kapag konti lang or less than 10 workers yung mga workers. Letter B, the employer may require an employee to work on any regular holidays, but such employee shall be paid a compensation equivalent to twice his regular rate, doble. Pagka pinagtrabaho siya ng regular holiday, doble ang kanyang magiging rate for that day. Ito yung mga regular holiday. O, legal holidays yan, no? January 1, April 9. Okay, katas pag pumasok yung Monday, Thursday, tapos Good Friday, yung Labor Day, Independence Day, National Heroes Day, Bonifacio Day, Christmas Day, Rizal Day, tsaka yung iba pa na designate for holding a general election. So please take note that work performed during rest days or either holiday, whether regular or special days, will not be considered as or termed as overtime since these have different rates. If an employee who works on a rest day or holidays, whether regular or special days, and exceeds the required 8 hours, the excess of hours of work can be computed as overtime. So sinasabi lang dito na magkaiba yung rate kapag mga holiday tsaka yung overtime. Hindi siya may consider na overtime kasi magkaiba sila ng rate. Ngayon, kapag nag-overtime ka pa for that holiday, i-apply natin yung rates ng overtime. Based on the 2020 Handbook for Workers at Statutory Monetary Benefits, night shift refers to the additional compensation of 10% of an employee's regular wage for each hour of work performed between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. Hours performed not in the required 10 to 6 a.m. by the law will not be included as night shift. So, mako-consider na night shift differential kapag kayo ay nag-work ng between 10 p.m. hanggang 6 a.m. So, meron tayong 1 hour break rule. Ibig sabihin, magtatrabaho ka sa isang araw pero dapat meron kang lunch break. At yung lunch break na yon ay hindi kasama sa binibilang as itinarabaho mo. All time during which an employee is suffered or permitted to work, rest periods of short duration during working hours shall be counted as hours worked, like 15-minute break yung 15-minute break, considered yun as itinrabaho mo. Bayad yun. So, unlike yung lunch break, hindi siya bayad. Right to weekly rest. Based on the Labor Code, Article 91, it shall be the duty of every employer, whether operating for profit or not, to provide each of his employees a rest period of not less than 24 hours consecutive hours after 6 consecutive normal work days. Ibig sabihin, sa 7 days, meron kang isang araw na bakasyon or rest at hindi bababa sa 24 hours. Undertime not offset by overtime. Yung undertime daw dito ay hindi dapat, di ba, ino-offset sa overtime. Ibig sabihin, no, yung ginagawa kasi ng iba guys, undertime ka ngayon, ngayong araw na ito, Monday, pagdating ng Tuesday, pag-overtimein ka. Tapos, i-consider na yung overtime mo ng Tuesday as yung oras ng undertime mo. So, hindi raw pwede ganon. Hindi pwedeng ganon, ha? Emergency overtime work. An employee may be required by the employer to perform overtime work with in any of the following cases. Pag may gera, or when other national or local emergency has been declared by the National Assembly or the Chief Executive. May gera, tapos may emergency. When it is necessary to prevent loss of life or property in case of imminent danger to public safety due to an actual or impending emergency in the locality caused by serious accidents, fire, flood, typhoon, earthquake, epidemic, or other disaster or calamity. Kaya guys, yung mga ating mga nasa DRRM, yan, on call yan, no? Na laging pinagtatrabaho yan just in case na merong mga emergency, nagkaroon ng rescue operations, bumagyo, bumaha, yan. Pag pinatawag sila para magtrabaho, kailangan silang magtrabaho. At lalo ngayon guys, ang ating pandemic, no? Yung mga health workers natin, almost wala silang pahinga, wala nang uwian. Ganun ang nangyayari. Kasi kailangan silang magtrabaho to prevent loss of life or property. When there is urgent work to be performed on machines, installations, or equipment in order to avoid serious loss or damage of the employer or some other cause of similar nature. O yung mga marunong or nagme-maintain ng mga machine o kaya marunong mag-install yung mga equipment, kailangan silang pumasok kapag pinapasok. Even rest day. When the work is necessary to prevent loss or damage to perishable goods. And letter E, where the completion or continuation of the work started before 8 hours is necessary to prevent serious obstruction or prejudice to the business or operations of the employer. Kapag bago pa lang mag-work, no, pero meron kang dapat tapusin before yung regular na 8 hours na work daw, pero meron ka pa dapat tapusin, kailangan ituloy mo yun, no? So, well, bayad naman yung mga yun, guys. An employee required to render overtime work under Article 89 of the Labor Code shall be paid with additional compensation. And any employee that works as overtime will be paid accordingly based on the number of hours he has rendered exclusive of the required 8 hours of work required by the Labor Code. Example, if an employee works on a shift 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. straight, then employee has rendered 14 hours of work with 1 hour break inclusive. The employee can claim an overtime of equivalent to 5 hours since her regular shift is only 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. The hours that exceeded beyond 4 p.m. will be considered overtime. Now, let us proceed with overtime pay computations. Paano ba kinocompute ang overtime? Kasi binabanggit lagi yung 25%, yung 10%, yung 30%. So, paano ba ina-apply ang mga rate na ito sa computation? The first one is for work in excess of 8 hours performed on ordinary working day. Monday to Friday, ordinary days. Assuming that we use the compensation of Mr. Louis from the pretest above, with his minimum daily rate of 560, if he was to extend his regular working hours, how much would be his overtime pay per hour? So, ang daily rate niya dito, 560. Ang compensation type and rate overtime is equals to plus 25%. Ibig sabihin, no? Sa bawat oras na itatrabaho niya, may dagdag siyang 25% doon sa kanyang hourly rate. So, paano kukuhanin yung hourly rate? 560 divided by 8 hours. That's simple. Therefore, yung hourly rate niya is 70 pesos. Now, i-apply na natin si 25%. So, 70 pesos plus yung 25% ng 70 pesos ay 1750. So, add mo lang 70 pesos plus 1750 is equals to 8750. So, yan na yung kanyang overtime pay for that 1 hour. Sa iba pang computation, ginagamit natin yung times 125%. Mas madali ito, pinaka-shortcut na ito. Overtime per hour is equals to 70 pesos times 125% is equals to 8750. Example 2, Mr. Lorenzo's daily rate is 675. He works on a regular day from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. with 1 hour lunch break. How much did he earn that day? So, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. meron diyan automatic na 1 hour lunch break. So, ibabawas natin yon. Kaya, yung 13 hours niya ay magiging 12 hours lang. So, ang daily rate niya ay 675 pesos. Ang overtime niya, dagdagan natin ng 25% ng yung hourly rate. Paano nakuha yon? 675 pesos divided by 8 is equals to 84.38. Yan ang kanyang hourly rate. So, apply na natin yung overtime rate which is 25%. So, paano natin kukunin? 84.38 times 125% na. Therefore, ang overtime per hour ay 105.48. Letter C, compute for the overtime hours of work by subtracting the number of hours rendered for work to the number hours required by the labor code. So, yung 12 hours na tinrabaho niya minus yung 8 hours na regular, ang magiging overtime niya ay 4 hours only. Then, compute na natin. 4 hours times yung 105.48 is equals to 421.92. Yan yung kanyang dapat matanggap o ibayad sa kanya para sa 4 na oras na overtime work. Then, calculate how much did Mr. Lorenzo earn for that day by adding his daily rate to his overtime pay. So, 675 plus 421.92. Ang kanyang total pay for the day is 1,096.92. Example 3, Mr. Owell's work as a call center agent starts 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. If his hourly rate is 80 pesos, how much is his total earnings for a month if he works 20 days every month with that shift every day? So, dito, daily rate siya. No? Or hourly rate. Call center, 80 pesos. Daily rate niya ngayon ay lalabas na 640. Tapos, ang compensation type and rate overtime is equals to 25%. And yung 12 hours na yon na 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. i-minus natin yung lunch break. Kaya 11 hours lang ang magiging basis ng computation natin. Tapos, in a month, 20 days siyang nag-work. So, paano natin kukumpitin? Overtime per hour, 80 pesos times 1.25 or 125%. So, ang overtime niya per hour ay 100 pesos. Now, to calculate Mr. Owell's total overtime pay, first compute for his overtime hours of work and multiply it overtime per hour. So, 11 hours minus yung 8 hours meron siyang 3 hours na overtime. Since the problem did not mention the 1-hour break, it is understood na meron siyang lunch break. As nakaprovide yan dun sa provision given by the government in all offices for them to provide time for lunch break. So, overtime pay, dahil sa 3 hours yung overtime niya, 300 pesos. Now, using his hourly rate, compute his daily rate by multiplying it by 8 and add his overtime pay to his daily rate for us to get his overall earnings in one day. So, nakuha na natin yung overtime pay niya na 300. So, kunin natin yung daily rate niya, which is 80 pesos plus yung 8 hours of work, 940. Then, compute his total earnings for a month by multiplying it to the number of days he has worked in a month. So, total earnings for the month is equals to 940 times yung 20 days niya na tinrabaho. Magkano? 80,800. Hence, his total earnings for that month is 18,800. So, for work in excess of 8 hours performed on an scheduled rest day or a special day. Overtime on a special day, Ellen earns the regular daily rate of 440. She was requested by her boss to work on a holiday which falls in Christmas Eve, which is a special holiday. How much would be her total pay if she worked 10 hours from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m.? So, ang given dito, daily rate ay 440 pesos. Number of hours work rendered, 10 hours, minus natin yung 1 hour na lunch break. It is equals to 9 hours. Then, compute natin yung overtime. So, 9 hours, minus natin yung regular na 8 hours of work. So, isang oras lang kanyang overtime. Compute na natin ngayon yung kanyang daily rate with special holiday pay rate and then divide it by 8 hours to get the hourly rate. So, 440 times 130% kasi nga may 30% dahil sa siya ay special holiday. So, 572 lumalabas. Ngayon, para makuha natin yung hourly rate, 572 divided by 8 is equals to 7150. Now, compute natin yung overtime by multiplying the overtime rate and the number of hours rendered. So, 7150 times 130% is equals to 9250. Overall earnings in a day, 572 plus yung 1 hour na overtime niya, 9250, 664.95 ang kanyang total pay for that day. Example 2, overtime on a regular holiday. On the next day, Ellen was again requested by her boss to continue work on the holiday which falls in Christmas Day, regular holiday. How much would be her total pay if she worked 10 hours from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. that day? So, daily rate, 440. Number of hours worked, rendered, 10 hours, minus yung lunch break na 9 hours, then 9 hours. Then, ang magiging overtime niya lang dyan ay 1 hour kasi 8 hours pa rin yung kanyang regular work. Compute her daily rate plus regular holiday pay rate and then divide it by 8 hours to get the hourly rate. So, 440 times 200%. Kasi regular holiday pay. Kaya, 200%. Lumalabas pa paano yan? 440 times 2, 880 pesos. Yung overtime rate niya, divide mo lang siya sa 8 hours. So, 110 yung per hour niya. Now, compute overtime pay by multiplying the overtime hourly rate and the number of hours rendered. Isang oras lang naman. Kaya, 110. Now, compute her overall earnings in a day by adding overtime pay and the daily rate plus holiday pay. So, therefore, 880 plus 110 is equals to 990. Example 3, overtime on a regular holiday falling on a rest day. Regular holiday na, tapos rest day mo pa. So, ang given, 15,000 ang kanyang monthly Number of hours work rendered 11 hours minus the break. So 10 hours lang. Compute natin overtime. 10 hours. Ang kanyang trabaho minus yung 8 hours. So ang overtime hour niya ay 2 hours. Compute her daily rate by dividing her monthly rate into 30 days. So 15,000 divided by 30 days. Ang daily rate niya 500. Compute her daily rate plus regular holiday pay rate and then divide it by 8 hours to get the hourly rate. So the daily rate with regular pay rate na 200%. So 1,000 pesos. Overtime hourly rate 1,000 divided by 8, 125. May overtime siya 2 hours. So, yung kanyang overtime pay ay 250 pesos. Compute her overall earnings in a day by adding overtime pay and her daily rate plus holiday pay. So, overall earnings in a day. So, yung 1,000 plus 250 pesos is equals to 1,250. For work in excess of 8 hours performed on a regular day, special day, and regular holiday with night shift differential. Ang oras, diba? 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. Less 1 hour break. Ang rate, 105 regular hourly rate. So, yung overtime work niya ay 1 hour lang, no? Now, compute her overtime pay with night shift differential by multiplying her hourly rate to overtime pay rate of 125% and multiply it to the number of hours rendered as overtime or overtime hours worked. Overtime per hour with night shift differential. 105, i-multiply natin sa 125% para makuha natin ang 131.25. Yun yung kanyang overtime pay. Compute for her daily rate with her night shift differential by multiplying her hourly rate, no? 105 to 8 hours and his night shift differential of 110%. So 105 times 8 hours times 110% is equals to 924. Compute her overall earnings in a day by adding overtime pay and her daily rate with night shift differential. Magkano? 924 plus 131.25 is equals to 1,055.25. So take note that her normal shift is 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Her overtime from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. or to 8 a.m. was not included as night differential since the law requires only 4 hours of work performed between 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. So, hindi kasama yung oras na 6 a.m. to 8 para sa computation ng night differential. Example to overtime on a special holiday with night shift differential. Using the example above, compute for Ms. Zantua's earnings if she works with the same work schedule from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. with 1 hour break with an hourly rate of 105. The company agrees that they will pay her also both night differential, including breaks and overtime pay in the given the schedule. This work schedule was done on a special holiday. Dito naman, special holiday. So regular rate is 105 per hour. Number of hours work 10 hours minus lunch break 9 hours. At yung overtime hours niya ay 1 hour lang. So compute natin. Overtime per hour is 105 times 130% times 130%. So, dalawa, no? 177.45. Eh, ang overtime niya, isang oras lang naman. Kaya 177.45 pa rin. Compute for her daily rate with special holiday pay and night shift differential by multiplying hourly rate 105 to 8 hours times pa sa 130% para sa special holiday rate at saka 110% para sa night shift differential rate. So, ang nakuha nating sagot dyan ay 1,201.20. Compute her overall earnings in a day by adding overtime pay and her daily rate with night shift differential. Magkano? 1,201.20 plus 177.45 is equals to 1,378.65. For our question of the week, Mr. Cruz's work starts from 3 p.m. until 12 midnight. If his daily rate is 567 pesos and 50 centavos, how much is his daily income? Show your computation on the comment section. So that's it for this week's lesson, class. See you again next week for your new lesson. Have a nice day.